Hello and welcome to Reanimated, everybody. This is Stuart in California. And today is a happy day. We get to polish off a series we've been slogging our way through. And joining me on that journey of delight is H.A. Conrad in New York. Hello, H.A.
Hello, I am happy to be delightful.
Delightful on the journey. And I'm sure you're reveling in all of the New York imagery we get to see as we watch this show. I feel like this episode actually has some.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, for sure.
These two episodes. So yeah, we are talking about the last two episodes of season 2, 7, and 8. They're called Novi Dan, Novi Pachotek, and I know now how to pronounce that in Croatian because he says it many times in the course of the episode. And then the other one is If History Were a Conflagration, which is a very natural sentence that people say a lot of the time, and certainly Spencer does in that episode. But before we can get into those two, we do have a tiny bit of news. There's not a lot out there. I think it's still the heights of winter solstice where there's not a ton. But what we do have is one that dates back to April 2025. And it's related to a Tony Gilroy quote. And he, I think, has kind of washed his hands of Star Wars now. But it's a quote in Business Insider from Tony Gilroy, who was the showrunner for Andor. And he is telling Business Insider, maybe out of school, we don't know exactly how this came about, that Star Wars does have a horror title in the works. And I don't know if you have thoughts about what that might mean, HA.
I don't. We missed this, and it's weird that it popped up now, but we'll kind of wait and see. It feels weird that we haven't seen anything since, and that it's now popping up again, which makes me think that maybe something could happen, right?
You, I'm sure, have probably blocked out of your memory my rants about zombies in Star Wars novels and the way that they use them in the Ahsoka show. I am hopeful that that's the direction they will go, and then we will be able to combine two of my favorite things.
All right. Well, we shall see.
And, who knows if this even materializes. I'd like to take everything Tony Gilroy says as gospel. I wish he would come back and do another Star Wars show, but you can only create 2 perfect seasons of television and move on to your next thing.
That's true.
Okay, so that's Tony Gilroy's teasing from April, many, many months ago. And then the other bit of news is kind of funny to me, just the headline, which is the YA zombie movie, This Is Not a Test, is actually going to be rated R. For bloody violence and gore, because what says YA like an R rating?
Indeed.
And that's kind of the news. I don't know. Do you want to just talk more about that? We do know that it's going to be coming out February 20th. This is not a test. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. I don't have much to add to that. I mean, it's been, yeah. I'll reserve judgment on that. And I always think when they kind of tease this whole stuff, I don't know, like, what do you think about the decision in terms of like what the audience might be for this and not paying attention to the sort of YA thing? I don't know. It feels. I think they'll get to like the people that are following, but maybe some of the people that were really into this may not necessarily be able to go to it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what is a young adult? I don't feel like this has ever been super well defined. Is it an 18-year-old? Because then they're fine.
Yeah, but I think it sometimes goes into, I don't know, younger ages, but we'll see. And I'll reserve judgment till we actually see it. And I also feel, I don't know, don't you feel like sometimes they say these kind of things to get people to go to it, right?
Yeah, probably. Although this is bloody disgusting. And then they actually do actively promote films.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, yeah. And then, we obviously are very excited about Bone Temple, the sequel.
Fourth?
Is there 3 in this particular thing and then it goes to another series, or is it just the 2?
There is a third one that has been confirmed now, or at least the financing has been,
right,
clarified. They were always planning to do 3. The third was just a little bit up in the air because they didn't have their money lined up yet. Yeah. But we had that story about Cillian Murphy, and the money. It kind of all happened at once. So I think he's going to star, maybe. I feel like I've said that about all three of these. Cillian Murphy for sure going to be in it in the third one.
Yeah.
And I believe, was it that Garland and Boyle were going to come back to the third one, or I don't remember who exactly is
I
going to be
think
the
so.
team.
But if all the stars align, we'll be talking about this next week. Hopefully the stars will align, but they
Oh
have not
yeah,
aligned yet for
the second movie we're going to talk about
yeah,
next week, hopefully,
yeah,
if we can get to the theater.
yeah. But if and then We Buried the Dead apparently was in and out of theaters near you, so we'll table that for you know,
Yeah,
for another
I'm
time.
hopeful it'll be on streaming in Q1, and then we can get to it eventually.
Yeah.
A lot of reviews about that in the news right now, and I'm not reading any of them.
No, I've been avoiding them. I actually saw something pop up and I was like, nope, nope, don't do it. Don't
Don't
do
do
it.
it. Stay away. So what we have to talk about is the end of this season. And honestly, I don't feel like it needs to be a chore. These were okay episodes of this show. There were tons of issues and problems with it, but I was okay that it ended, and in the way that it ended, in a way. So we've got two episodes. Like I said, this one is called Novi Dan Novi Pachotek, which is Croatian. It's directed by Michael Satrazemis and written by the showrunner Eli Journet. And they actually, both of these episodes are directed by Michael and written by Eli. And where do we pick up in this one, HA? What happens first?
Um, honestly, I don't remember what exactly happens first.
I will tell you then, as I
Go
have
for it.
my
Oh, yeah.
meticulous notes.
There you go.
Maggie has gone off looking for Herschel. As if we recall, the last time we saw her, she had approached Negan outside the church while he was having a sad moment and said, "Where's Herschel?" He was like, "Maybe he went to the Dama's theater," and so she's gone there.
Oh, that's right. And you know what? Okay. Did you have the Carl is never in the house vibes from all of this? That's what I'm having a lot of right now.
Oh, this feels a lot more willful than Carl just not being in the house. Carl was just like a mischievous boy with too much time on his hands, not enough TV to watch. I don't know like why he couldn't stay in the house, especially when he would go play with zombies that were stuck in the mud and throw rocks at them and whatnot.
Yeah, but he also would go and do these like stupid things where he would just go off on his own and have his own agenda, et cetera, et cetera. So
But Herschel's agenda is so much worse than anything
it
Carl
is
ever did.
worse, and it's also like I don't know. Anyway, we'll continue on this line of
Yeah.
discussion about Herschel, but
General disappointment in Herschel's
very
behavior.
disappointment about progeny of Maggie and Glenn. Really disappointed, just have to say.
Carl was not their child.
No, I mean, sorry, Herschel, not
Yeah, I
Carl.
know, but
It's all the
the
same
way
though.
you said that, it sounded like you were lumping him in, but no, he was a pure Lori Rick kid.
No, but I'm saying they're all kind of from the same
Yes, yes, yes.
idea pool. So that's the
Certainly
problem.
they were raised in the same village, so to
Yeah.
speak. Actually, they were raised in different villages. However, she finds at the theater the Dama's body, and the Croat is sitting there being sad. And
Yes.
so she threatens him until he offers to help her. And that's kind of the that's that scene. She's on a mission and she's not taking no guff, especially not from the Croat, who she accuses of playing games.
Right.
I have pretty well forgotten most of the events of season one by this point. I'm just having to acknowledge that
Yeah.
because by the time some of the things are said in this episode, I'm just like, what? Okay. So I don't remember that she has this feeling that the Croat is a game player or something. We're always, spinning half truths. I don't know that
Yeah.
is that something we know that is her opinion about?
Yes. Yes. And
Okay.
she knows that. She knows it from Negan, and she knows it because she saw all the things that he pulled in the first season.
I,
So I feel like she would be a lot more guarded with him than she seems to be. I mean, she does a little bit of early threat with him, but it
I mean,
seems
it's a pretty serious threat. The whole I'm going to
right.
start cutting
Right.
off pieces of you stuff.
Right, but then kind of is like, okay, now we're adventure buddies. And they go to that sky bridge to get to whatever this safe haven was that he supposedly knows that Herschel would go to because the Dama told him to go to it if anything went wrong. And they get over there, and of course, there's like a secret way up there. And you know, this is the thing about the Croat that I think, again, I'd be much more on my guard the more he reveals because this is sort of his MO, where he tells you all this stuff, you feel kind of comfortable with him, and then he does crazy, crazy stuff, usually to your detriment. So, like their whole sort of journey to get up to the sky bridge, there's like very a lot of like set booby traps like tripwires. I don't know what they do, but there's definitely tripwires and
And
things
we
like that.
see what one of them does.
We do.
What's
But
funny is that they're just in like an emergency stairwell in a skyscraper.
right.
These don't have like little nooks and crannies and hidey
No,
holes.
they
So
do not.
presumably what you would see the whole time you're going up these stairs
It's
is
just
all of
blank.
these booby traps
Yeah.
that are like stuck to the wall. There's no way to hide these things unless it's
Right.
like in the fire hoses and because they do tend to have like pipes to carry
Sure.
sprinkler water sometimes in those
Well, my
stairwells.
my other thought is that, fine, no other people have found it, but there's obviously a bunch of walkers that could errantly like kind of get in and set all these like crazy things off accidentally. So that's what I'm like, is it likely that these would even be intact? Probably not.
Yeah.
But okay, like that, we're going with it. So, you know, they get all the way up to this sky bridge.
Well, they get to this office first where somebody, and I don't understand, like the Croat eventually explains that other people set up the traps and other
Mm,
people set up this maze of cubicle walls, but I feel like the cube wall maze is somebody's dystopian nightmare about working
yeah.
in a cube farm.
Well, it definitely feels like that to me. For
Yeah,
sure.
where like, the workers of the cube farm are still there aimlessly shambling around. And in this scene, Maggie starts to get really dizzy or sleepy. And I was like, oh, it's clearly methane poisoning again. But
Yeah,
no,
I thought the same thing.
I'm not sure what we're supposed to, is she just that tired?
Maybe.
And apparently, like her body doesn't have any more adrenaline because every time she gets attacked by a zombie, she gets like half a second of reaction and then goes
Right.
back to sleepy time. It's really
Yeah, it's
weird
really weird. I thought maybe she had been drugged, or something.
because she's with the Croat and he has a history of doing that part,
Drugging
I guess.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of thought that's where they were going, but it doesn't appear to be where they went with it, right? Like, very odd.
Yeah. So also during the ascent, and when she's at the base of the tower, Maggie's looking up with fear in her eyes, and then on the stairwell, she's looking down with fear in her eyes. And Croat's telling her, people call it a fear of heights, but really it's a fear of the compulsion to jump.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, quite suddenly, this character who we've known for I don't know 12 years,
Suddenly
Maggie.
has a fear of heights that we never were aware of,
But
right?
when would I like? Sure, she was the mayor of a place called Hilltop, which and she
Yeah,
had to
but
stand on the
also
walls,
in
but she never
season
had.
one. But in season one, didn't she like take part in some of that like between building insanity? And she was like,
Oh, of this show. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember.
So
Did she?
I like, but it's crazy. So I don't know.
Yeah. It does suddenly come on, and we'll see if it ever comes back. But it was certainly convenient for this episode of the television show where she could not look at a space below her without thinking very visibly on her face, what if I just jumped off of there? It
Yeah.
was pretty weird. It was pretty weird. But it does, I mean, that lack of continuity aside, it does make for an interesting story here where she is presented with many, many steep drops and a sky bridge where the floor is windows.
Yeah.
And that's tough for her. And it's tough for me. In fact, this sky bridge scene has maybe the best jump scare in all of The Walking Dead, for me anyway.
Hmm.
I jumped out of my chair.
I jumped too. I'll
Uh,
admit it.
Yay, HA admits to being a human being.
I know it's hard for me, but I will tell you, have you ever gone across Tower Bridge in London where they
Oh,
have
no, dude, the lines to get up there, forget about it.
oh, well, it's not always as soon as you go early,
Hey,
but
this guy, he don't queue.
You can go early enough and it's fine. And I don't think we stood in a line. Anyway, this is very similar to Tower Bridge in that it's like completely like clear as you look down. And I will admit, like when it is totally like there's no sort of obvious safety and it looks clear all the way down to the ground, it is, I definitely have a little bit of a lemming feeling. So I can, I was like, oh, that looks great. And then I just tried to get across as quickly as possible. So I definitely understand, even if you didn't necessarily have a confirmed fear of heights, this could still be really rough. So,
Mm.
in addition to fighting off zombies and everything else. So, you know,
Yeah,
but
it's a lot. It's a lot for Maggie. And also what's kind of interesting about this series of sequences is that the Croat is with her. He's being really supportive. He's always, he's dragged her to safety once when she passed out in the cube maze. And then he is like trying to coax her across the sky bridge. When he gets to the other side, he disappears, which is when she again kind of falters. And then he's back with a ladder, and then he's back, and then he disappears again, and he comes back and helps her. Basically, he saves her multiple times throughout these
yeah,
sequences.
and he says, I mean, he says a couple things. He's been saying a few things, and it's specific to the fact that he appreciates her doggedness and her dedication to her son. He definitely is drawing some parallels to like something that he feels or doesn't feel or had or didn't have. But he does consistently save her, which is different. But we've also see him playing these kinds of games before. So, you know, but he seems at least semi peaceful now. I don't know.
There's something, yeah,
Something.
fatalistic about his behavior. He
Yeah,
doesn't seem dangerous,
right.
really. Or if he were to become to suddenly double cross her, it would feel like a real shift. Which is weird the way that this whole sequence of scenes then um and all of these scenes are also playing out interspersed with scenes of what Negan is up to too. We should just point that out.
Right.
Um, so by the time they get to this supposed safe house, which she has been telling Maggie they're working their way toward, there's this one shot of her looking confused or infuriated with him when it turns out they're just going into an office where there is no, like, there's a bed and there's a little box
Yep.
that apparently has his mother, some memento of his mother in it.
Or ashes or something,
Could
right?
be, yeah. And he explains that she died long before the zombie apocalypse, and he wanted her to help him exit. That's his whole goal. That's the whole reason they went up here,
Yeah.
and she's
Which
pretty
is
mad
kind
about
of,
that.
that's actually kind of on brand for him, but she's pretty mad.
It,
So,
it seems like a lot of effort.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he wanted to get that box, I guess, but and eventually he shares his story that he and he's also been talking about his background in engineering as he's fixing her flashlight. I mean, it's interesting. These are decent scenes between these two actors. This guy, I keep forgetting his name. His last name is Ivanek. Zelko Ivanek and Lauren Cohan are, they're doing good work. I don't know that it's the most compelling uh, material for these two characters to other than Maggie's. The problem is like it would be good if we knew that Maggie already was afraid of heights.
Yeah, that was the one part that was really just, you know, I just didn't, that was the part where I was like, oh, this is new and they're just like retro fitting this. So anyway, that was kind of annoying, but whatever. What can you do? And then that whole moment that she's once again doing this whole thing where she's looking down and she first threatens him and then he's like
And
saves
he
her
Yeah, he
again.
pulls her back and like gives her a little
I
pat
had a
pat.
moment where I thought he was going to push her.
They shot it to make you think that, right? Like
Mhm.
he's in the background and he has a look at her that is hard to gauge.
Yeah.
So, but eventually they're just sitting there chit-chatting about his history and how he's said now to Negan and to Maggie that he wants to go back to Croatia.
Yep.
So maybe that'll be a spinoff.
Yeah,
The
maybe.
Croat goes to Croatia. Fun times. That would honestly be a great place to shoot, I imagine. So, but that's not what happens. And then as night falls, she sees her really complex and well thought out signal that she's established with Herschel earlier this season. Did you remember that they'd had a scene talking about their special light signal?
Oh yeah, of course. And
Yeah.
then that was the whole
Can you tell me
thing.
what this what the complexity? Yeah, how tell me about the signal and like how she could be so certain that it was her signal.
Well, first of all, there was the whole, I mean, they've talked about it twice before we saw this, which is her little like memory with him and sharing the memory with him where when he was like really little, she thought he had been something bad had happened, and then she saw him with like this little like flashlight trying to be like everything's going to be okay, and they had this is their specific signal with between each other, so they have used this multiple times.
Yep.
And then she had
But
the other.
what's so complicated about it? This is my question is like it's just on off on off.
Yeah, there's nothing really complicated about it.
So it could be literally anybody.
Yeah.
There's nothing to suggest that in the city of New York nobody else is using this on off on off signal. It's not like Morse code.
Yeah. But then the other part of this, which is why it's like, um, is that she asks him if he really, if he really remembers it the same way she did, because she's come up with this like story, and then it turns out that it's a little more complicated than that, that he heard her crying, which is why he went out and all sorts of weirdness. Anyway, but you're right, like it could be anybody, but she's pretty sure it's Herschel.
She
So,
and the Croat magically appear back at the street level
hmm. And
because he
by
had
the
said the
way,
lower floors of that building were inaccessible.
yeah, so they're like get down there in record time and
So
then have to
they have
make
to
their
go
way
back over the sky bridge, which now has a broken window in the floor,
right. I didn't
down the
see that.
stairs of traps. But
Well, they do have a ladder to get across,
they do have
maybe.
a ladder. It's possible, and they by the time they get down there, is it daylight or is it still night?
I think it's, I
I think
think
it's
it's
night.
night.
So it feels like they do it, yeah, very quickly. And she's had one cat nap,
Yeah.
but she doesn't seem to be having any more effects of her exhaustion.
Nope.
Even by the end of the second episode we talk about today, she has not apparently had any time to sleep. It's daytime again, or maybe it's, yeah, I think it's been like at least 24 hours since she's slept since her cat nap, which I don't know how long that was, but it didn't, it was like she was on the floor of a conference room for long enough for the Croat to fix a flashlight.
Maybe she just recharged. I mean, she took maybe that cat nap just gave her the energy she needed to go on.
As long as we're going to write in the effects of exhaustion on Maggie's ability to function in this apocalypse, then I guess I want it to be consistent.
True.
Yeah,
But
because
they're
none of
never
these characters seem to really take much downtime in this
no.
season. So she goes and finds Herschel in a room. All of my alarm bells are going off in this scene where he's being way too nice.
Yep.
And well, no, surprisingly, because I did not see any spoilers to this effect,
I
but
didn't either. And I was annoyed when this happened because it just seemed completely unbelievable given the damage that we saw even before. But
like
Cole,
what the big question is, did the Croat know?
that's my question too.
Because he walks away from Maggie. He's like, no, you
Mm.
deserve this moment with
Yeah.
your son. Go to him, which also feels loaded, right?
Yes. And yeah,
So he might show up again in season three. I
I
don't think
think he's, I
he's
don't
not,
think he's gone.
yeah, he's written off. He's not written off the show. He's still apparently a series regular, I think.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, we don't know where he goes. He might be getting on a boat to Croatia as we speak, but he says you deserve to go and be with your son. And then the fact that Maggie goes upstairs, meets her son, and then gets knocked out by the Dama, who is not dead but has a new metal haircut and
He
burn
actually
scar.
looks much cooler now.
Yeah, it's true.
I kind of
Although
like this look.
she's still dressed way too formally and in a way
And
that would
again,
not be helpful for survival in a zombie apocalypse.
correct. Also, given the fact that she just got like had some fire issues, the outfit she's wearing is not ideal. And she also, like, big question about that. she got pretty severely burned. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, and has had zero medical attention as far as we can tell.
right, and we don't see all the damage. We see just a little bit on her neck and like whatever, but this we're talking about infections, we're talking about mobility, oozing.
Hmm.
Like this is not like there's any real medical assistance that would be able to help with something as severe as this. And she's not exactly she's older. So this seems totally unbelievable to me, first of all, that she would have survived, especially like not even talking about just about the burns, but the smoke inhalation, I think would have like given what that room looked like, I think that she would not I think she would have succumbed. So, okay, fine. They do this thing, but I do not believe that Herschel was brainwashed enough to be in this situation where he's okay with his mom being knocked out and chained up. I just don't buy it. I guess that they feel they're trying to really push the narrative that his vulnerability, his like lack of understanding of the world or his understanding of this world, since that's what they keep harping upon is the fact that he's never seen the old world, he doesn't know what it's like, and blah blah blah. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have feelings for his mother. And it definitely doesn't mean that what they went through isn't important. And to be bonded and aligned with Dama, I don't know. I found that this like I was so eye rolly during all of these scenes.
Or are you talking about the last episode now
Oh,
when this
sorry, I guess I
continues?
jumped into it, but like it's
I
just
agree, and I want to talk about that, but let's talk about Negan's plot line in episode 7 before we get there.
all right. But
Is
let's
that
also,
okay?
yeah, totally fine. And also, let's also say that Maggie finds Herschel at the New York Times building, which is also funny. Um, anyway, which means something to her, but also probably doesn't mean anything to him. So, yeah, so they end this episode with Maggie getting knocked out. But
Maybe
again,
this is where Dama used to work. She was a film critic, right?
maybe, I guess.
Maybe it's
But
her old office. Okay. So yeah, interesting ending to that story. Frankly, I did not see it coming. Although
I didn't either.
they built
But
up Dama into such a presence that it would have been, I guess, a little too easy for her to go out the way that they suggested that she did.
yeah,
But how did she get out of that scenario unless it was from help
with
from
the
the
Croat.
Croat potentially?
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder about what he was doing all that time with I guess he really was just trying to be like, I'm out with Maggie. Interesting. Anyway, it's something to think about if we can remember any of this by the time season 3 comes out. Meanwhile, Negan is having frankly, I didn't love his storyline in this episode, but it's supposed to be going to informing his actions in the final episode of the season. And it's a journey of transformation for him that he opts to do by himself. And the reason is because Ginny isn't doing so hot, and apparently in the Barazzi, all of them have zero medical supplies, or at least medication. Despite having the run of New York City,
Hmm.
I find this a little hard to believe. Like this organization that he's inherited, all they have is power. All they have is methane, and they don't seem to have much else.
Which seems,
Um,
I agree. Like it seems kind of unbelievable that one of these groups wouldn't have something. Like, yeah, it's been many years, we know that, but New York, just even if you just think about the availability of things in people's apartments, like there's got to be supplies or things like, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be things that are like resources that you can find that isn't just at a hospital or whatever. So,
yeah,
yeah,
but
I
so
found
he
this to be a little weird.
we've got more of this kid Spencer interacting with Negan because we forgot to mention this because it seemed so silly. At the end of the episode 6, Negan lets Spencer out of a jail cell that's underneath the church, and as he does so, he's like, "Oh my God, how long have you been down here?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's been like a day. It's been like a since Negan went into Central Park which is when Spencer or around then is when Spencer got taken to jail." Um, so what's the big deal that he's been in a
I
jail
guess
cell?
I don't know.
It was pretty
Kind of
funny.
weird. And they've never really like developed it. This character's kind of weird anyway, right? So,
Yeah. So this is the scribe from New Babylon who got adopted by Dama, but then embarrassed her at Bruegel's feast by talking about her background as a movie critic or a theater critic. And so then he was put in jail. So Negan has let him out, and now Spencer is hopelessly, uh, you know, following Negan around and helping him tend to Ginny. They haven't even like stitched up her wound. I guess it's not bleeding, so I guess they don't feel like they need to. This wound is troubling to me. Like it's huge, and we saw how she got it. It was like a big piece of wood.
yeah.
It apparently stopped bleeding on its own, and maybe they don't feel like they need to staple it or glue it or anything, but they haven't. But now she's got an infection, and they have no medicine. And so Negan hears this story about this nurse who was gathering medical supplies at a hospital in New York. And so he goes to Bellevue.
Yeah, but based on a rumor that somebody had stockpiled. Like there's not this is just a rumor that nobody and okay. So the story goes that there was some nurse or somebody that like stockpiled all this stuff at Bellevue and that it's impossible to get to. But did you really feel like this was super impossible to
I
get
mean,
through when you saw it?
the only reason he had any trouble, well, no, there were a lot of, you know, kid zombies.
I guess, but still.
Frankly, this show hasn't done this ever. I'm kind of surprised that it's happening in this show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And frankly, it gives Negan a really hard time. But that aside, he gets into the hospital, zero problems, and then there are no zombies in the lobby or anywhere else in the hospital, as far as we can tell, except for these two wards. It's just pediatrics, and the rest of the hospital seems to be very safe for him, especially when he turns out is having just hallucinations constantly. So he's
Yeah.
already back in the church. He's already hallucinated that Ginny was Lucille
Yep.
once. So he's kind of already not in a good headspace. But then he goes to the hospital, interacts with a child walker,
Mhm.
is unable to. The reason he interacts with that child, oh, I guess there were like three other walkers in a hallway, and so he ducks into a room and backs into the room as those zombies walk away. Which I'm just
Yep.
like, this is very, very, very annoying as a horror fan. He's
Hmm.
backing into the room, and there's a child walker. And then he is unable to dispatch it and continues backing into the next room.
Yeah.
Upon which then he like trips and knocks himself out.
Yep.
And so this head wound leads us into a series of visions and head ringing scenes. And I wasn't really here for most. I mean, I didn't love all that.
I didn't love it, but I mean, let's be honest, like his hallucinations like were kicked off because of Ginny's situation, which I think triggered some PTSD, obviously, and that's like how he's already there.
He
He's
was
already
talking to Spencer about
yeah,
his the last days with Lucille. And there was something about that that didn't strike me correctly or right either. He talks about how sick she was.
yeah,
And we had a whole episode about her last days, basically, when he went to find medicine for her and came back and she had
right,
turned.
right.
She's not on a ventilator
No,
during those last
yeah, I
days
think they're hoping that we don't remember that part.
because
So
he's like, "Oh yeah, have you ever run the machines?" And I'm like, "What?" She was basically talking.
yeah, I don't recall that she was intubated or anything.
No. But
Yeah,
that is this like thing that we come back to later, and I was just, okay, fine, I guess. But what you're going to tell me that when you were her sole caregiver at the terminal stages of her cancer, she was on a ventilator and then off of one toward the end? I think once you're
I
on one, you're probably on it.
yeah, and also you're not like I don't know. I think you still need help. It's very hard to kind of deal with that. Like you would have like a hospice nurse, and I granted, I mean they're in the apocalypse, so maybe that wasn't the case, but you don't just go on and off of it. From but maybe I'm wrong.
Because I don't think you can be conscious and intubated also.
Yeah. Um,
Or maybe you can. I don't know. I haven't been. So he has knocked himself out, comes to, and the little fella on top of him can't reach him, and he just still kind of like avoids him. He avoids the walker and goes into another room where then he's in a ward full of the little critters. If you're watching the subtitles in this episode, it says that they're dormant because it's like dormant child walkers moaning or something like that. When we have seen dormant walkers in this franchise, how do you usually see them portrayed?
In this franchise?
Yeah, in the franchise of the Walking Dead universe.
Just what do you mean? I'm
Lying
sorry.
down in a field usually is how we've seen them. They're not standing up with their eyes
Oh,
open.
yeah. We've seen maybe a little bit of this, but not in this setting, not in this kind of like, not certainly not in a place where there's been like a lot of outside noise and stimulation. Like I think, and even then in a field, it still feels like there would be outside noise that would could like trigger them into
Mm.
non-stasis. So this is definitely very unusual and strange for sure.
Do you remember the one of the later seasons of The Walking Dead? I think it was a season premiere where they took some guns from an army base and they went down through the ceiling into like a big hangar.
And they were kind of stasis.
They were lying down, the soldiers inside the
Oh,
this
okay.
hangar.
But not standing like this is
They
your
know
point.
that's what I'm saying. Like the standing up with their eyes open thing does not feel. This feels like something we've seen in all that other New York show with Will Smith. What was that movie? I Am Legend.
Yeah.
In that, they would be standing up and like having some breathing exercises together, but not reacting to him
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he kind of tiptoes his way through this room. These are actors, right? This is not CG.
Right.
I
They're
don't
just kind
know.
of,
That's an expensive scene. That's what I'm saying. And also, I hope they had a lot of trauma counselors on staff
yeah.
because
They're pretty rough.
these kids look pretty disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely looks like they're kids that were already in bad shape and then this happened. Like it looks like they've got,
Hmm.
they're not in good shape. And, for Negan's already hallucinatory kind of state, probably even kicking that into higher gear, especially given how he's feeling about Ginny right now, how he's been feeling about Lucille. And, so he goes in to find absolutely nothing. I will say there's like one point where you see a shadow run, like literally run across the glass, like a shadow of like a silhouette.
Yeah,
So you know somebody's there, but it's the reason why I'm like, this is a little weird because he's not seeing that, right?
right.
So that's like not his solution. So I really thought that there was somebody in there,
That
like
was just for us, just to
that was just
make
for
that.
us.
And then he hears footsteps above him while he's in the children's ward, which they don't react to. And then when he's in this OR, which he's like, this is the only OR in the hospital, I'm going to check. There are all these holes in the walls and in the ceiling, and he catches a glimpse of somebody up in the ceiling. And then they do a thing where they make the person kind of like defy gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Like they walk on the ceiling for a second
Yep.
before running through the room, alerting all of the child walkers.
Even though it's a hallucination. Okay.
And then he's able to just easily walk through this room, even though they're all grabbing at him. And I mean, I guess maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. Enough kids jump on you. They still have weight to them.
Yeah.
I can say that from experience.
Um, but he gets out. He gets out. He finally catches this person, even though it seems unlikely he will catch them at all. But
Yeah.
he finally manages to do it, and then it reveals itself to be Lucille. And then, you know, like basically says you did everything you could, giving him some kind of absolution. And then it turns into Annie. And then he sees his little son, and that's like a really heartwarming scene, honestly.
This is a cute kid.
But when he calls him, like he's like, dude, and he sees Joshua. But and then suddenly he's led into like signaled into this room with a ventilator, which you would imagine that there were probably ventilators all around this hospital, but okay. And this looks like ancient. Again, I don't know all the mechanisms, but I do know that it's probably pretty hard to intubate somebody who is unconscious, but he manages to bring this back. And I don't think any other medication, just the ventilator to Ginny.
Yeah, he gets zero medicine.
Right. So this is just going to be bad. I think we all agree. But in the meantime, there's been all sorts of other things happening,
Well, that's
and
is that the end of the episode though?
yeah, that's the end of the episode.
So yeah,
But before
ventilator
we get,
is her only chance to survive, and I think he says that. And I don't know this guy's name. I've been calling him Spencer, but I'm looking at Wikipedia. Maybe it's Pierce.
oh,
I don't know
sorry.
that anybody ever calls him by his name, so
Yeah.
it's hard to say. But
But
Pierce
yeah, but
is basically volunteering to be her maid or her nurse and nurse her back to health with this ventilator that she's now attached to.
right, but and this is like this whole revelation where he's talking to Pierce about, you know, that he's failed all these people and the mistakes he's made and the mistakes he made in in the sanctuary, which he is like, well, that's because I showed mercy. So now I'm back, and I've learned from my previous mistakes, and I'm gonna protect Ginny, protect everybody.
Yeah, you know
And
what
Pier
always helps people think more clearly is a head wound.
yeah. And so anyway, we kind of know that the old Negan is back, or at least that's the implication. So. And we do see a return and a retreading of that ground in the next episode.
I think it's
So,
going to be pretty short lived though, because he
yeah, maybe.
has grown since season 6. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because it would be a really long way back to tread some ground we thought we'd left behind a long time ago. But yeah, that's the takeaway from this head wound and all these hallucinations is that to protect the people he loves, he has to be the bad guy.
Yep.
And I don't know that I believe that. But Maggie, meanwhile, in episode 8, has woken up tied to a wall, and she's working on getting free when the Dama comes in to crack some walnuts.
Yep. And then is all excited to meet her, doing her weird little Dama thing. You know, Maggie's managed to grab some keys out of a filing cabinet, and
Really
is
loudly.
really loudly and also like, hi, you can't really cut like these are like copper wires or something. I don't know how you can cut those. But the
And she's trying to
Dama,
do it while the Dama's in the room, which
right, it's
and when
like,
the Dama catches her, it's honestly pretty comedic that Maggie tries to sit still all of a sudden, but it's so obvious that she just got busted.
yeah,
I enjoyed that.
um, yeah,
So yeah, the Dama lays out her thesis and then makes Maggie cry because she's so good at getting into people's heads. You know, instead of a theater critic, I kind of wish that she'd just been a psychiatrist.
yeah. She seems to be. I mean, the Croat kind of mentions this whole thing where it's like she finds out she is really good at finding out what you need and doing that thing or like manipulating and carrying and so yeah, agree. Maybe she should have been something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
she makes Maggie cry by pointing out her failures as a mother
yeah.
and saying, you know, there's something that I'm still really just not buying about this whole plot to for the Dama to put Herschel on this throne in New York as the visionary for the future of the city, because we haven't seen him actually design anything yet.
No, and also he's kind of annoying
We
and
see him
really
drawing.
weak.
He's a good artist, and he can take care of himself in the wild thanks to his mother's training, which he
Sure.
should acknowledge. But yeah, he has not. Well, like I would like to see some blueprints to back up the fact that Dom is putting all of her remaining effort into propping him up as the future of New York City.
Well, and okay, let's be realistic here. The only reason the Dama had any power whatsoever was because of the Croat and the Croats like abilities and engineering abilities and the methane and like
And the
all of
labor
that's
force that he had,
right.
and she
So
doesn't seem to have any people, but maybe that'll be disproven in the next season. Maybe she still
yeah,
has a posse somewhere.
yeah. Um, so but anyway, this just doesn't her whole big plan and her whole big like mind twisting of Maggie is that basically that she's obsessed with Negan because he killed Glenn. She can't let it go, and that what she said, she thought Negan would be the one to help her realize this new world. But instead, she realizes now that it's Maggie and that Maggie has to do this by killing Negan to be able to move on. And, ostensibly she seems to accept that, or at least kind of does once Herschel, like, kind of weighs in on it. But it still seems, I don't know, it just seems so far-fetched. It's really annoying. So we basically see a return of, you know, Kill Negan, Vengeful Maggie, or Vengeance Maggie, and we see a return of Negan being Negan in this episode, or at least that's the implication.
I mean, he's pretty close to being Negan.
He is, and we see him kind of repeating certain things. So he, has his whole big, we see this in the set piece in the church where Bruegel comes and shows up with his folks, and Negan's there with the Brazzi and has this wonderful meal laid out. And we already know about this kind of thing because the Croat has talked about this. So, I think the assumption is that this meal is tainted in some
Well,
way.
what the hell is that meat that he puts on the table?
I don't know, but it's pretty creepy looking, right?
Like, is it
What could it
tentacles? Is it
be?
entrails? I don't know, but it does not look appetizing at all.
I guess to people in an apocalypse, it looks like a delicacy,
Maybe
but
it's eels, Hudson River eels. Is that a thing?
yeah, maybe.
It's gross looking, no matter what. And
It's gross, except the vegetation, like the fresh like veg and stuff, that looks all right.
the
And I'm
Brussels
like,
sprouts look on point. I would have eaten those for sure.
where the heck did they get all
I would
this
have,
stuff
yeah,
from?
they've got like a lot of root vegetables. It's
Yeah.
interesting because you don't see a lot of Barazzi farming scenes, that's for sure.
No, no.
So and also we've had a scene of Bruegel and his men doing something to a statue back at the museum before they come over. And so we know that there's a Trojan horse element to this scene because he's wheeled in this giant statue to be like, hey, here's a nice statue for you. Like the negotiating or the discussion that's happening before this all kicks off is very transparent. Like they're clearly all there to hurt each other. And I don't feel like anybody's hiding it very well. Um, and Pearlie is with Bruegel, and there's been a scene between Pearlie and Bruegel where Pearlie's like, "Hey, where did Ginny go? You better not hurt her." And Bruegel takes that and interprets
Yep.
it to mean that she is somehow important to Negan, and he's going to use that leverage.
Yep, for
So
sure.
there we go. Then Pearlie's doing his best Lando Calrissian in Jabba's palace impression here with his weird helmet. I kind of liked it though. Um, And then when the ambush happens, it's kind of surprising because we haven't seen any scenes of Negan even interacting with the Barazzi since he took over. Like he's just been downstairs with Ginny in every scene we've had with him. So the fact that he's had time to get a plan together is kind of surprising in a way to the audience, but also it's pretty typical. And so there was, yeah, the bunch of zombies inside the dinner table. That's the
Yep.
short
That's
version
their
of
big
it.
thing. Also, they made no noise apparently
They were
whatsoever.
very quiet. I mean, all the vegetables were, all that food is just being wasted here. It's just
Yeah.
insane, right? Especially maybe they're fine because they have crazy farming. Um, yeah, so there's like 25 zombies inside this dinner table. There's maybe around 20 of Bruegel's men, maybe 20 Barazzi. But granted, they're not, nobody's supposed to have weapons, but everybody does. And yet the outcome of this scene, because they've got two guys with flamethrowers who are apparently idiots and have no peripheral vision. But the outcome of the scene is that all but three of the Barazzi are dead, and all of Bruegel's men are dead except for Bruegel.
Yeah.
The only
Uh,
people who survive are three Barazzi guys,
and
Negan
Pearly.
and
And
Pearlie,
Pearly.
and Bruegel and Maggie is there too.
Yep.
Uh, so while that is going on, I also just want to point out the most annoying part of this episode is the scene with Spencer slash Pierce on the roof, back up at the cannon position, which was annoying the first time it showed up. And he's up
Mm.
there with a lookout from the Barazzi side who's got binoculars and is actively looking at the Hudson. It is daytime. Or is it the East River? Is it
I
the same thing?
no, I think it's the East River.
Sorry. I just
But I'm
say
not
Hudson.
positive about that. But either
I
way,
mean,
it's
yeah, okay.
fine. It's like that they're it's the same kind of uh um um it's the same idea where it's the same area that basically Herschel and Maggie and everybody was coming in on that approach. And so
Kind of
um
southerly or easterly.
yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Either
Either way,
way.
it's broad daylight. This lady has binoculars, and Pierce, who's up there and getting his bravery called into question by this woman, with his naked eyeball, is like, was that boat always there? Oh, and look down there. There's like 20 kayaks. Oh, and look
Yeah.
down there.
Oh
There's
wait.
some new Babylonian soldiers on the
And
island of
also this
Manhattan.
person this person that's supposed to be on the lookout didn't notice any of this. Give me a break. It's kind of lame.
Because she was too busy calling his bravery into question. But that's not true because she was actually looking through the binoculars when the scene began.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so silly. I just wish they had been a little less lazy about this. Maybe
Yeah.
have them come around
Oh,
from
so
another
what I
side of the
thought
island or
what
something.
I thought was going to happen is that it turns out that this person is New Babylon. That's what I thought because it's so obvious that those things were out there. So I was like, oh, maybe she's New Babylon. We don't even know. But no, she's just really bad at her job.
Really bad at her job. She's giving him a hard time, and she's the worst
Yep.
lookout ever.
Yep.
So yeah, a new Babylonian guy appears on the roof and kills her, and then he's like, "Who are you with?" And Pierce is like, "I love New Babylon so much.
Yep. He's
Take
like, New
me."
Babylon.
Yeah. So New Babylonian Wave 2 has begun. A lot of questions from this, like how did New Babylon know about the cannon position? How did this guy know how to get up there? How did he know there
Hmm.
was anybody up there to go get?
Right. Because it just seems like the people didn't come back, so they're coming to find their people. But
Their entire scout and first wave mission
and
got
okay,
eradicated.
and I gotta throw this out there. They basically went through the exact playbook that the first party went through. So why would
Except
you do
during daylight, even more dumb.
worse? Worse. So really kind of odd, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the Barazzi are now way too preoccupied to really do anything about it. What was this lady going to do if she had seen them? Fire
I
off a
don't
few
know
cannons,
because
I guess, by
everybody's all
herself.
battling downstairs. Who knows?
Yeah,
So
like they're all killing each other downstairs. So there's nobody left to really fight New Babylon when they arrive anyway. So it's basically a bloodless invasion, except for that one lookout who tries to tries to outdraw this guy, even though her gun's literally on the other side of the balcony. So New Babylon's arrived. Hooray or oh no, depending on your perspective. We literally have nobody left on that side who we've met to know how they are as people. Like
yep. And so you know what is going to really help out Maggie in terms of her, you know, loop with Negan?
it's to witness
It's
him doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo for sure.
it's to really relive this whole thing and for both of them to kind of replay this entire thing again. So
This is also happening just down the hall from Ginny's
yeah.
sickbed.
Hmm.
Nobody apparently looked in there though, based
Nope.
on the way this episode goes. Nobody was like, "Oh, let's check on her while we're down here doing this entire bit of theater."
This bit. So in any case, as you'd expect, it's like the Negan show, and he's really excited to take down Bruegel, and then surprise Pearlie as well. And he does his whole thing. His
I
whole.
mean, wouldn't you if you were Negan take out Pearlie too?
I
Pearlie's
mean,
been doggedly coming after him.
I don't blame him, but he's Negan. So anyway, we see him do his thing. Maggie's like having this reaction, of course. And I will say the way he kills off Bruegel is pretty disgusting and
This was
brutal. And
good. I liked this. This
it's
was to
good.
me the best thing they did in these two episodes.
Yeah. So he throws some methane down him and lights him up, and it's like his face is melting, the makeup job with the little like pulsating face
Yeah,
thing.
and the bubbling sound you're
Yep.
hearing,
Yep.
it's
That
all
was
very disgusting.
yep. And then he starts to take out Pearlie and
Pearlie just gets away from the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he runs into another room and Negan and the Barazzi follow to hunt down Pearlie. Negan's like, I got this.
Hmm.
Which he doesn't really, but I mean, I guess he does because he's about to finish the job when Maggie intercedes, and she's killed the last three Barazzi, as far
Hmm.
as we're aware. Those are the last three. Uh, and as he's about to finish off Pearlie, she actually stabs him in the back. So I don't know if you remember this because I'd forgotten so much of the season one. She stabbed him in season one too. So she
Yes, I
has
did
stabbed
remember
him
that.
each season of Dead
He has
City.
stabbed him all the time, you
She
know?
stabbed him in the
So,
front of his chest in season one, and now she stabbed him in the back, kind of low down. I don't know what organs are there, but I'm pretty sure there's organs down there in the lower back
mm,
on the right hand side. I'm sure we could find out. Probably
yep.
something fairly important.
Yeah, probably.
And it's not a little knife.
No, it is not.
So he's down for the count. And like, but manages to crawl slash get away because his last what he wants to do is now he wants to check on Ginny. And it's a pretty, it's, I mean, this would be a better scene if we thought that any of these people actually like Ginny because she hasn't been that great of a character.
That's true.
I mean, season one, she didn't talk at all. That was maybe when she was the most relatable. And then in season two, she's been just kind of single-mindedly trying to kill Negan. She pointed a gun at Herschel. She joined the New Babylonians. I don't see this like trifecta of Pearlie, Negan, and Maggie all being really upset about this. Negan, I get. Maggie, maybe because she did come and live with her at the Bricks, but not for long.
Yeah, and I mean they have enough of a past where it's like, she turned on Maggie and like I just don't I guess maybe we didn't see a lot of their bonding, but it did feel a little weird. Um
It's a weird, I mean, it's a weird scene for them to all put aside the fact that they were all trying to kill each other moments ago. But now that Ginny has turned and passed away, and that's sad. She's young. Maybe that's what it is. Like she's a young person,
yeah,
and they're just sad about that.
maybe.
But yeah, they're all joined in their sadness, and that's enough, I think, to break this momentary spell of wishing violence upon each other. I guess Pearlie and Maggie were never trying to hurt each other, but certainly the other, yeah, Negan was trying to kill Pearlie, Maggie was trying to kill Negan, and Pearlie was basically just trying to defend himself. My understanding about it. So it's
Yep.
weird. So they take Negan to a beautifully well lit studio apartment somewhere nearby, brick walls. This was a nice looking place.
Yeah,
How much would that go for in New York?
a lot. They
Yeah.
could definitely not afford the rent.
But it's like the people left on Zombie Apocalypse Day and never looked back. There's still like a sweater draped over a chair, a skateboard
Hmm.
leaning against the wall. It's like, this is
Weirdly,
weird.
weirdly untouched.
It's nice. They just take the knife out of Negan. I feel like he's gonna be fine, even though
Yep.
it's almost exactly the same area and wound that Ginny just died from.
Yep.
Except
I
hers
think
was a
that was
log. Yeah,
obviously deliberate.
yeah,
Deliberate,
probably.
right?
But this guy apparently he can just get stabbed all the time and be fine. Um,
Yep.
and outside, then we see formations of New Babylonian soldiers marching through the streets.
Yep.
And what's kind of interesting here is Pearlie recites the story that Roxana told him when they were sharing a jail cell about the fork in the road, and do you go back to what you used to know, or forward to the unknown? And I feel like it shouldn't be that easy of a choice for him, considering he has a wife and kids back in New Babylon.
Yeah. I think we know what he's gonna do, but who knows? It's Negan. And maybe we like with that reappearance of Annie, at least in the Vision and Joshua, we're gonna potentially see them again.
Wow, it's a very strange writing choice to be like, we're gonna have this whole subplot about how Annie and Joshua are being brought to New York. When they
And then not
arrive,
show them.
when they
Yeah.
arrive, we're gonna send them away, and then we're gonna just show her in a vision and give her some speaking lines, but she's basically not in the show.
I actually thought it was maybe, I mean, and maybe this was the case. Maybe they could only get her for like, maybe she had like had conflicts or something like that.
Could be.
I really thought that that's what happened, because it seemed like such an odd choice. But then when they got her for this, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is just to preview her bigger role in the next season.
Yeah, she
But
has
it does
not
feel like a
been.
net choice.
It doesn't seem as though so far she's been cast in season three.
Hmm.
Wikipedia
Interesting.
does have some like updated, here are people who are cast season two through present. Here are new recurring cast members for season three, etc. It's a very strange choice. I feel like either bring her back and have her be a part of the story because she was decent, right, in the main show.
Yeah, she was
Annie.
great. I'm wondering though, like if that was, sort of a, um, I actually looked up the actor, to see if like I couldn't like she's really kind of,
Medina Sencore
yeah,
or
yeah. So she's like, I mean, and she was very like prominent in like like in the other series. So it feels kind of odd that they would waste her like this, but again, maybe she's just too busy, which totally would make sense, right? But I don't know. Maybe they just can't really figure out how to deal with her plus the son, right? Maybe.
yeah, I don't know.
Um, I don't know.
She's credited with two episodes in this season on IMDb. So
Huh.
literally that the shot of her from 500 feet away at the
That's it?
docks, that's
Huh.
in episode 6, and then there's the scene in episode 7 at the hospital where she's in a hallucination. But it
Hmm.
does not say anything on her upcoming. Um, and like season 3 has begun production, but I don't know how far along they are. So
I actually,
maybe she'll show up more.
yeah, and I had, as I said, I was like kind of seeing is there something else that she was involved in? And I
Not
mean, there was
really.
nothing really that I could see, but maybe, I mean, she also does like producing and things like that, so maybe she has other things going on, but I would love to see her return. I thought she was fun. So, anyway,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, she does have an upcoming TV series that is listed on IMDb. So maybe that was what
that may
took
have
her time.
conflicted or something. Yeah.
But weird choice. I would be happy for her and Joshua to come back, but I wouldn't want them to just be there to be used only as leverage against Negan. That would be annoying.
Yeah.
Herschel and Dama are shown at the end of the episode looking down at the New Babylonians who have now seized the
Hmm.
methane and the church. And Dama's looking like upset, and Herschel's looking, I don't know what. But there's just the two of them. I'm like, as a faction goes, they feel pretty silly.
They
Like,
do. And again, I just don't buy this brainwashing of Herschel in this way. And
it feels excessive for sure.
yeah. And so that's the other thing. And his weirdness with Maggie, I don't know. It just feels a little ridiculous.
They're gonna have to introduce the fact or reintroduce the fact that she still has people left. Otherwise, they are just like if they're
Yeah.
I can't guess how old she is, but she is not young.
No.
She's probably in her 70s,
Right.
and he is a tween. And
Yes.
between the two of them, they are not going to be able to I mean, he's okay at handling himself in the wild. I can't
But
imagine
not
she
like,
is.
but he's not a leader and he's not very, I mean, he's never in the house, just like Carl. So we'll see what happens there. Also, let's also point out the fact that he allowed his toe to be taken off voluntarily by
Yeah,
the
let's
Crow
do talk
actors.
about that. And the reason why was he heard what it was going to be used for. And
What
do
the
you remember
heck?
what that was?
They sent it, didn't they?
They sent it
To-
to Maggie in a box with a note that said, or something that was like, you have to bring Negan to New York.
right.
So it just feels like a lot of why? Why
Yeah,
all
agree.
this? Like, can't you just get Negan there some other way that is much easier?
Yeah. Um, and then this episode closes out with, so we see the Dama and Herschel, and then we have Pierce, no, sorry, we have Maggie, Negan, and Pearlie, who are like basically a triumvirate banding together.
But like one of them has a stab wound from the other. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's not gonna be all roses and sunshine
No. And I would imagine we got to find that store
antibiotics.
of medication somewhere for Negan to survive this, right?
That would
Maybe.
be an interesting plot, or at least one episode plot to bring in to next season. To be like, oh, it
Yeah.
was for real. because he only went into one OR in that hospital. And the guy said it might be Bellevue, it might not. It's a rumor.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But what's interesting is like who's left in New York? It's basically five people that we know of.
Hmm.
All the factions are gone. And then a whole bunch of New Babylonians who might have drones, or for all we know, because they were way too informed about how to find the methane. Also, they went straight there.
Yep.
That does suggest that maybe someone from New Babylon went back and told them everything, but who could have done that?
Yeah, did Benjamin Pierce know how to? It says like in the synopsis, it does say that he is the one who leads, but I didn't know that he had that much knowledge of anything because he's been kind of like held in a basement. So,
It could be him, for sure. It could be him. Okay, I'll give you that. So maybe he'll have a bigger role somehow.
well, they better do more with him. He's not exactly
No, he's not a strong
a
character,
deep character at this point.
but he does deliver the titular line. If history were a conflagration, right before he notices that their island is under invasion.
Right.
Well, that was not a great season. I mean, those last two episodes were kind of fun to watch, though.
Yeah.
But not for the right reasons. Like Maggie suddenly having fear of heights, and
Yeah, that was really like that is kind of a ridiculous thing.
the weirdness with Dama and Herschel and Maggie, and having to retread some really old ground with Maggie and Negan. And I really hope we don't have to do it anymore after this.
Yeah, if they go back to this well again, give me a break. This is ridiculous. Let's see something new here. But now they may actually ship those two, which will be weird.
It would be, but also satisfying.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. We finished season two. Way to go, us. Jolly good show. Which takes us to the future. We'll have one more season of Daryl Dixon in 2026, I think. One more season of this show potentially in 2026, or maybe they'll hold on to it until 2027.
Mm.
If at least one more show season of this. They haven't said that it's the last one that I've heard.
No, I have not heard that either.
And then, but next time, I guess. Well, what do you want to do, AJ Conrad?
Well, next time I think we're gonna try to talk about 28 years later Bone Temple, right?
Yay!
Assuming that the timing works out for both of us and that we can get ourselves to a theater to see it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna find a matinee and be that guy at the horror movie before noon if I can.
yeah. So we
Um,
shall. And if it's that, let's hope it is. And so I can't wait to talk about that with you.
for real.
I'm sending us both good vibes for a good viewing experience.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Okay, so yeah, let us know what you thought of season two of Walking Dead, Dead City. I've had some interesting chats with some of the folks over on the Brain Muncher Zombie Collective on Discord, um, where they're like, "Yeah, I'm glad you're watching it because I couldn't do it again." So I know how some people feel about it.
I don't blame them. I felt the same way even watching this. It's rough.
But yeah, you can get a hold of us over there, and you can also email us at reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com, and you can find the rest of our episodes on the line at reanimated.podbean.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening and bye-bye.
Okay, cheerio now.